Welcome back into Spotlight on this Friday, getting ready for Week 8 in the NFL, and yet we are looking again. Just 2 weeks ago, we had the Giants going up against the Eagles, and it was the Giants who won that game 34-17. The Giants sitting with a 2-5 record. It is not great. The Eagles with a 5-2 record, but they are trying to look better than they have been. The Giants also coming off that horrible loss to the Broncos this past week, where they gave up everything in the fourth quarter and ended up losing. So there's a lot on the line in this game. There's a lot to dive into. Let's welcome back in JP Acosta, Ryan Wilson, all of us looking lovely in green. It is easier being in green, not harder. JP, let me start with you. How did the Giants bounce back after what we saw last week in the fourth quarter to the Broncos?
Well, it's going to be a really rough time trying to bounce back from what is a game that you should have won, because this is a really young team. But for every young team, you have to learn how to win football games close in the margins. There's going to be a really big learning experience for a young Giants team, a young Giants offense led by a rookie quarterback. And the coaching staff is really going to have to get this team to rebound, especially against an Eagles team that not only did they beat, but an Eagles team that is the defending Super Bowl champion still are 5-2, still are going to be in the hunt for the playoffs. So that you can't spend too many times licking on your wounds after a loss like that. You have to get up. You got to keep moving. And I think for a young team like the Giants, I think this week they got to try and start fast.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right, JP. And it feels like a lifetime ago that this Giants team with Jaxson Dart put a whooping up on the Eagles. It's just a few weeks ago. Only based on how that last fourth quarter played out in Denver on Sunday. And look, there are a handful of plays you can go back to. You can blame the kicker who's since been cut. But the interception certainly didn't help in the fourth quarter that we saw from Jaxson Dart. Some of the play calling down the stretch was suspect. Mistakes made that should not have been made. The way the defense played, we heard Brian Burns yelling about it coming off the field. He later said he wasn't yelling at the defensive coordinator. I don't know who he was yelling at, but it certainly seems like he was upset with the coverage that was called that set up that game-winning field goal for the Broncos. So these are all things. You talk about the 24-hour rule. We'll see if it's in effect, because it feels like the Eagles are just starting to hit their stride. And if the Giants had won that game last week with wins over Philly and then Denver, we're having serious conversations about can they make a move in the NFC East. And now we're saying, okay, is this just the same old Giants with new faces on the field as opposed to what we saw last year when everything was blamed on Daniel Jones?
It is such a new team, and especially with, the rookies in Jaxson Dart and Cam Scatterbo. And this kind of feels like that was their welcome to the NFL moment. We talk about that sometimes. Ryan, talk to me about Jaxson Dart. Look, he has been great. He's put up numbers. I think, most consecutive starts with 2 or more total touchdowns to begin a career. He's right at the very top with some big names as well. But a lot of people have been skeptical about him. Is the way he plays sustainable? I mean, staying out of the blue pen, you saw the pick in the fourth quarter. What do you make of Jaxson Dart's performance and what you think we could see not tomorrow, this weekend?
Yeah, first of all, find someone that loves you like Brian Daboll loves Jaxson Dart, because then you will be set for life. And I'll be interested to hear what JP thinks about this, because we talk about every single rookie throw every single week on with the first pick. And Jaxson Dart has been a firecracker and a lot of fun. It is, in fact, not sustainable the way he is currently playing. It's also worth remembering that he's only had a handful of starts in the NFL, and you would imagine this is not what he's going to look like in year 2 or year 3. But it's typically a one read, usually a shorter intermediate throw, then eyes are down, and he's running around for his life. He's a good athlete, so he can win that way for now. But we'll see what Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator in Philly, has in store for him after Jackson ran all over the Eagles a couple of weeks ago. So it's going to have to be a pocket-based offense where you get through your reads. We haven't seen that yet from Jackson. Doesn't help that most of his receivers are hurt and the offensive line has been porous. But it's not sustainable in the way it's currently formed. So we'll see how quickly he progresses, because that's going to be important to how much better this Giants offense gets.
I agree with Ryan here. I think there has been some good, but I do worry about the sustainability of this Giants offense with Jaxson Dart at quarterback. He's been pretty good when blitzed this year. He's 13th in EPA per play among quarterbacks that have had 50 dropbacks when blitzed this season. But the reason he's so good against the blitz is because most of the time you're playing man coverage behind it. And he's able to run, or he's able to just throw it deep. And I think that's a great way of easing a quarterback into an NFL offense right now. If you're Brian Daboll, that's what you want to do. But you want to try and protect Jaxson Dart from himself. You want to try and protect him from the unnecessary hits that he's going to take. And because he is so important to that run game, I do wonder what's going to happen in a game against Philadelphia, where the last time they played a lot of man coverage, and Jaxson Dart beat him with his legs, beat him with his arm downfield because they didn't have Quinyon Mitchell. And now Jalen Carter is back. So that means a lot more zone pressures, a lot more zone blitzes. Those are the kind of things that you want to throw at a young quarterback, that you want to throw at a rookie, because there's not going to be a lot of stuff that he's seen that Vic Fangio is going to throw at him. So I'm curious if Fangio wants to throw a little more zone blitzes, zone pressures at him, and try and force this young quarterback to win with his eyes.
Ryan, you mentioned it looks like the Eagles are starting to hit their stride. Sure enough, that last game, Jalen Hurts, one of the best throwing performances we've seen in a long time from him in a year, one of the best of his career. I mean, you get the Kelly Green this week, you get Brandon Graham back, you got Jalen Hurts looking like himself again. Is Jalen Hurts also starting to hit his stride in this season?
Yeah, I think so. The other question might be, is Kevin Patullo, the new OC, starting to hit his stride? Because Kellen Moore obviously had things dialed in pretty quickly. And maybe that's a situation, because they've run some different things in terms of the run game approach, and Saquon's a different conversation. But Jalen winning with his legs helps a lot. They need to be a little bit more efficient in the red zone, continue to do that. Continue to dial up the deep passing game. We'll see where A.J. Brown is in terms of his availability this week. If he's not there, that's a huge issue. Not a lot of depth behind him and Devonta Smith. But, right, it feels like they're taking incremental steps in the right direction, and maybe that's more a reflection on the OC starting to figure things out as opposed to Jalen Hurts. He is who he is. He does have his weak spots, but I think when you maximize what he does best, it looks a lot like last week instead of what we saw over the first 6 weeks or so.
I'm cautiously optimistic about what this Eagles passing game is going to look like. And the biggest reason is because against the Vikings, Kevin Patullo found his answer, which is under center play action offense. Jalen Hurts was 4 for 4 for 121 yards and a touchdown using play action. That deep 79-yard touchdown to Devonta Smith came on under center play action. The Eagles did not have a completion on under center passing off play action before this game. So I think if that's going to be the way that you want to create explosives while still having the illusion of a run game, because the run game still isn't working right now, if you want to use Jalen Hurts as an under center drop back like play action passer, I think that'll really help. But I do also want to try and get him involved in the run game. They haven't really used him in the run game a lot because you don't want to get him injured, especially this early in the season. But with the way that the run game is working, when the Eagles run game is working at its best, you have to account for Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts as a design runner. I think they need to start giving him some more design carries, get him up the field more, and force the defense to ask questions that they don't have the answers to.
Okay, so let's talk about the Eagles' run game, not in the form of Jalen Hurts, though, in the form of Saquon Barkley. Look, A.J. Brown said he wanted more targets. He got him. He got in the end zone. He is hurt, Ryan, as you had mentioned. We don't know if he's going to play this weekend, dealing with a hamstring injury. How do they get Saquon involved? Ryan Wilson, we'll start with you.
Who knew Mekhi Becton would be so desperately missed? It's sort of a weird thing to figure out. Tyler Steen is now playing right guard. Everyone else is the same. Cam Jurgens is going to be banged up, by the way. So that's a concern at center. So I don't know if it's magically going to happen this week, but I think it just goes to reinforce that it's not just great running backs. You need an offensive line that's at least above average to help you get to where you want to get to. That was the case last year. Last year, by the way, Saquon wasn't contacted until 2.5, 3 yards down the field. Now it's less than a yard. So that tells you exactly what the issues are and where they start. He's running a little bit better to the right side this year than a year ago, where he was dominant running to the left. That hasn't worked out for whatever reason, even though the left tackle and left guard are the same. So I don't know what the easy answer is. I'm going to turn to JP because this is his bread and butter. So what solutions are you providing for Saquon and Kevin Patullo to fix this thing? Because it has been a hot mess.
I hate to say it, but the solution is hope Landon Dickerson is healthy. You mentioned that the Eagles were dominant running off the left side of the line of scrimmage last year. And that's because Landon Dickerson and Jordan Mailata are two of the best run blocking linemen in the NFL. And once Saquon Barkley hits space, he is able to explode past defenders. He's able to create explosives. This year, Landon Dickerson's been hurt. You said Cam Jurgens might not play. And like you said, Ryan, Tyler Steen is not Mekhi Becton when it comes to moving people. When they run all their counter and power and all all their gap scheme stuff, he is not that kind of player. He's more of a zone player. So I wonder if the solution for Saquon Barkley to get him more involved, I wonder if it's to turn him into the best check down in the NFL. Get him the ball out in space, get him on tosses, try and get him outside the tackles where you can really rely on Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata, your two best offensive linemen in space, especially because the situation between the tackles still isn't ironed out right now. I wonder if they want to try and get him outside, get him involved in space, get him behind Jordan Mailata, get him behind Lane Johnson, try and create explosives there, because what was working last year isn't working right now.
You mentioned Landon Dickerson. I mean, look, he's been through a myriad of injuries and stuff like that. If you had to guess how many surgeries he's had, what do you guys think? JP?
Oh, man. He's probably got a laundry list. I'm going to say 5.
Ryan?
Oh, I was going to say 8. So see if we price is right this thing.
13.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Ah!
There you go. 13 injuries or 13 surgeries for Landon Dickerson. Yes, look, he's dealt with a plethora of things in his career. We love him, though. Okay, let's get pick to win. JP, we'll start with you.
I'm going to pick the Eagles in this game, and the biggest force multiplier on the field for this game is going to be Jalen Carter. He did not play in the game against the Giants a couple of weeks ago when the Giants' run game sort of ran roughshod over the Eagles' defense. Jalen Carter changes the math and how you want to block this team. Because of how much they want to play light boxes, because of how much they want to run those simulated pressures and creeper looks, Jalen Carter is the engine behind all of that. And with Jalen Carter back, I struggle to figure out a plan for victory for a Giants interior offensive line that hasn't truly faced a guy like this yet. And with the Eagles under center drop passing game, the play action game starting to look a little bit better, I just wonder if they start to create explosives early in the game, especially with the Giants passing defense that still hasn't really figured itself out yet.
Ryan, what about against the spread? I mean, he's going with the Eagles there. Can they cover the 7.5?
Yeah, I think so. And JP laid out a great reason why, and that Jalen Carter's going to be back on the field. I just feel like the smoke and mirrors with this offense in New York is going to run its course, and they're going to have to figure out a plan B as Jaxson Dart grows into that role. And I think the Eagles are starting to hit their stride, and maybe this is a get-right game, not only for Saquon Barkley, but for a defense that got exposed last time they played the Giants. So I think the Eagles win, and I think they cover that 7.5.
Speaking of math, you guys know how bad I am. My dad's a professor. He's a mathematician. I had to count 8 plus 5. I was like, I think that's 13. I think it equals 13 together. And I had to count on my fingers. So that's just it. That's my admission for the day.